This is a Laguna 3-axis CNC router. It uses a 24-inch X, a 36-inch Y, and approximately a 2-inch Z to cut things like plywood, MDF, wood boards, and even some sheet plastic like this PET. You can do profile cuts, you can do 3-dimensional cuts, you can even do multiple 3-dimensional cuts and glue them up afterwards. To do a profile cut, you need to start with a 2D file, like something drawn in Rhino or Illustrator that's completely 2-dimensional, just lines. You need to select that item and export it as a DXF file. Nothing special about the DXF, just a standard DXF. Then you've got to move to a Windows computer to run the Aspire software. The first thing to do is to go under File and New and determine the size of the piece of wood. I'm going to use an 8x12 piece of wood here, that's ½ inch thick. And I'm going to put my XY in the center, set it to inches, and then I can import my file. So I go to File and Import Vector, and I'm going to import my speaker design. And then I'm going to select it and I'm going to use the Align tool to put it right in the center of the canvas. Alright, now it looks too big for my wood. I need room to clamp. So I'm going to go back under Edit and go to Set Job Size and Position, and now I'm going to choose a 12x12 piece of wood, which will give me enough room for the clamps in the machine. Over on the right there's a toolpaths menu and a chance to do a profile toolpath. That's what I want to do, and I'm going to select just the outside line, and then I'm going to set the depth, starting depth at 0 and finishing depth at ½ inch. I'm going to choose a 1/4 inch end mill, which is a common bit for doing profile cuts. I'm going to cut on the outside of the line, and finally I'm going to add some tabs so that it doesn't come loose while it's cutting. And I'm going to do 1/4 inch tabs, 1/4 inch thick, 1/4 inch in length. You can put the tabs wherever. You can have it automatically add tabs, or you can delete the tabs and put them exactly where you want. Right? Usually 4 is plenty, sometimes even less. Right? Once I've got all that done, I can calculate a toolpath and see how it's going to work. And I can preview the toolpath, and this looks good. I see my 4 tabs. I'm going to rename it though, so that when I get to the machine it's something, I'm just going to call it outside. Okay, and then I need to make a second toolpath. So I'm going to close this window and choose the profile toolpath again. This time I'm going to select the inside circle, and I want to, everything's the same except I want to cut the inside of the circle, not the outside of the circle. Right, then I need to add my tabs. I'm just going to do 3, and I'm just going to do the default locations that the computer chooses. I'm going to calculate that toolpath, and I'm going to preview both toolpaths now. Alright, so this looks great. This good cutout, it looks good. I'm going to rename my toolpath and call it Inside Cut again, so that when I get to the machine, it's easier for me to tell which file is which. At this point, I can plug in my USB, and from the preview menu, I can click this clock and find out how long my cuts are going to take. I can close that and then hit this little disk and save my files to the USB drive. And they have to be MMG files. Right, so I'm going to save the outside cut, and I'm saving them as separate files. So I'm saving the outside cut, and then I'm going to unclick that one and save the inside cut as, again, as MMG. And so I've got my 2 files. I'll eject my USB, and I will take it to the machine. Right. First thing at the machine is I need to find my 12x12 piece of wood and create an X in the center of it, and then I've got to clamp it down really well. If it comes loose, your piece is ruined. So use as many clamps as you need. Just make sure that the bit is not going to hit the clamps. Right. So your piece is always bigger than the drawing. You're giving yourself enough room to clamp. Right. Make sure those clamps are really cranked down. Get some face shield. Get some eye protection. And then let's change the bit. So I can unscrew the bit, and I can find the 1/4 inch bit and the matching collet, and I can slide those into the end of the spindle and screw it on. And it takes 2 wrenches to loosen and tighten this bit. Right, so 1 wrench is going to be down low, 1 wrench is up high, and they turn in the opposite directions. And just make sure to get that bit really tight, nice and straight and super tight, and then you can close the dust guard. At this point, it's time to turn on the machine. So we turn on this dial and we hit the on-off switch. Now look at the control panel to the right of the machine. It should say All Access Home, and you can hit the green button. Right, so I'm just homing all the axes. This puts the machine way up in the corner, and so it knows a reference point. Then I'm going to manually move it using these X and Y buttons, and I'm going to move the bit so that it's right in the center of the X that I created. So it's the end of the bit is actually going to be touching the X, just barely. Alright? And then I've got to hit XY0 and Z0. This is the origin point. Now I'm going to manually back it off a little using the Z up, and I'm going to put this puck underneath it. Okay, this puck is going to plug into the side of the machine. And now I'm going to hit the on-off and menu buttons at the same time. The machine is going to come down, it's going to hit the puck, and it's going to back off at a predetermined distance. Right? Then I can remove the puck and put it away. And then I'm going to put in my USB disk. And I'm going to hit Run, Pause, Delete. And OK. And I'm going to scroll through until I find my MMG file. There. Inside one. Let's got the inside one first. I don't need to change the work speed. I can hit go. You can see the spindle speeding up. And it should come down, and I think at this depth it's about 3 passes to cut all the way through. There's 1, 2, and you can see it go up and down a little bit for the tabs. And again, you need eye protection, and don't put your hand anywhere near the spindle. Right? And that one's done. Then I can find my other second path, and I can run it, and so it should then cut the outside. Notice I left plenty of room between the bit and my clamps. You don't want to hit the clamps with the bit, and you don't want your piece to come loose. Right? Again, it's going up and down just a little bit where the tabs are. I think it's about 3 passes to make it through this 1/2 inch. When it's done, you can unclamp it, and you'll need to break the pieces loose, break the tabs or saw them loose. And then you can sand the edges a little bit, and you got a finished piece.